Today's episode of This Week in Startups is brought to you by Carbonite. Sign up for Carbonite and use the promo code TWiST to receive your special offer.
That's what it's all about, man. They said money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money and defeat you. Yeah. Money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money and defeat you.
Hey everybody, it's Jason Calacanis, the host of This Week in Startups. I'm here with Robert LoCascio, one of my old friends from Silicon Alley, who has persevered and built his company LivePerson for over a decade. We're going to talk entrepreneurship, we're going to talk IPOs, we're going to talk product design, we're going to talk about the old school days, all that and more after an important message from our sponsors right now. Hey everybody, it's Jason Calacanis, the host of This Week in Startups, and I'm here with my trusty sidekick, Tyler Crowley. And we're going to talk to you today about Carbonite. Carbonite is the backup solution that I use and Tyler uses. And I'm going to show you how you sign up for it. It's super easy. And as you know, it's super affordable to back up all the data on your computer or all the computers in your office, or maybe just 2 or 3 computers at your house. Very simply, go to carbonite.com/EM, as in English. And you're going to click on Start a Free Trial. There's your little Start a Free Trial button. Super simple. Or you can go for the small business one here. I'm just going to go for the home or the office. Put in your email address. I'm going to put tyler@launch.is and a password and an offer code. Now this is super, super important. Please.
With my password.
Your password? I love Jason. And your offer code is TWiST. Make sure you put in TWiST. That's a critical, critical thing. Please do that so they know that their advertising is working. And you start your free trial. And boom, you're in business. No credit card necessary. They're going to start you right up. Download and install it, and you're off to the races. Super, super easy. Just click the install button. It starts downloading it, and you will be off to the races, and you're not going to have to worry about losing data. That is critical. Thank you so much for considering using Carbonite. I use it. Like I said, we only accept products on the program that either I or Tyler, actually in this case both, support and love. And Carbonite is one of those products that's just going to work flawlessly for you. I guarantee it. It's a great, great product. That's it. We'll see you next time. Hey everybody, I'm in New York City meeting with some of my favorite entrepreneurs, Robert LoCascio. God, we met probably in 97 or 98. I'm trying to remember exactly when. You're the CEO and founder of LivePerson, which is a Web 1.0 company that's actually made it through to Web 2.0 and now Web 3.0. It's hard to know where we are. When did you found the company and what's the mission?
I started the company in 1995.
Wow.
And
a year before Silicon Valley Reporter.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, and the original concept, which still holds true today, is to enable businesses to chat with their customers online for customer support and sales. And I felt back then that I remember logging into the internet in '95 and there was nobody there.
Yeah, pretty lonely place.
Yeah, it was like, and I knew somebody was there, but I would be on a website like Dell's, and there was no one to talk to, and I'm like, there's got to be a better way to do this versus picking up a phone or sending in an email.
Sure.
So that's where we started.
And concept pretty simple, software as a service.
Yep.
Before software as a service really existed, it wasn't like people had to load their own servers. Was it server-based in the beginning, or was it just software as a service?
It was software as a service, and the funniest thing is, we sort of pioneered this concept, and I really felt at the time it was just hard to sell software, implement it, and I remember thinking, why can't we just host it on our little server in our office and have customers log in and use it? And so now it's cloud computing. So the world's gone to cloud, but back then it just seemed easy. Just like an easier way to deliver.
So when you get to a website, you see a little pop-up that says, "Hey, do you need help?" That was your innovation.
That was our innovation. That was my innovation.
In 1995. How did you come up with that idea? I mean, a brilliant idea.
It really, I'll tell you, the concept happened when I was shopping on Dell one day. Like most entrepreneurs, it's like your own need.
Right.
And
back when people bought Windows machines.
Exactly. and Dell was actually,
that was the place you went.
That was the place you went.
Sure.
And I remember I sent in an email, and I waited 3 days to get a reply, and I was asking about a server, and I picked up the phone and called them and said, and I created a really lengthy email because I had a lot of questions, and no one got back to me. I pick up the phone, I'm like, talking about the server. The woman's like, I can't see the website. I don't know even the email you sent.
Yeah, what's the URL? It's before short URL.
Exactly.
URLs.
It was like, what is this? And I said, there's got to be a better way for me when I'm looking at a product to just click, open up a window, and through text-based messaging, ask a question, have someone know where I am. And that's what drove me to build the company.
So it's 15 years later. Where is the company now?
Today, we'll do about $132 million, $133 million. We'll make over $30 million in cash flow.
Wow.
We have 8,500 customers, and 400 of the largest companies in the world use us. And we have about 525 employees today. So,
wow.
And so it's interesting when you look at us. We went through the .com, crash, and survived, and we're one of the few people in Silicon Alley that actually made it through that
right.
time.
I mean, DoubleClick actually made it through, and then wound up being sold.
Yes.
Razorfish made it through, was sold, but you actually
agency,
remained
Register,
all those things. Yeah. Register, did they get sold to?
They got sold to, yeah.
So you went public actually in when, 99?
April 7th of 2000. So we were the last internet IPO.
The market crashed right after that.
It actually crashed during it.
Ah.
So when we went public, there was us and Krispy Kreme Donuts that went public on April 7th. That week, 25 companies were supposed to go public. Only 10 of us got public. We went public in $2 million in revenues and $20 million in losses with a $300 million market cap, which we were still, we thought we were supposed to have a $600 million market cap.
Right.
But we made it out the door.
Can be worth $1 billion.
That's what it was. It was
those two idiots.
Yeah.
I said it, not you.
I know. I try not to judge the.
Well, I mean, listen, they were naive kids. Let's say. I mean, they didn't have
You've always
a real
been controversial. That's your
yes,
thing.
I guess that is my thing. Tell it like it is.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, actually, one's an actor now, and I think actually the other one has a. Stefan became an actor, and then the other one actually came up with a good idea for a business, a database of like advertisers.
Yeah, and I remember asking about there was another company. The guy now lives on a farm somewhere. A couple, they all went crazy.
Josh Harris from Pseudo.
Was that? Yeah, he was.
He's a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
He's a great movie, We Live in Public, that he's in. So you go public, the market crashes.
Yes.
But you've raised some tens of millions of dollars in the bank, and you're able to fight for another 10 years to actually build the business.
Yeah, it was actually 2001 was, I would think, one of my toughest years of running a company. We raised $30 million on the IPO. We were burning $2 million a month.
Okay, you got 15 months of runway.
Exactly. We had 180 employees.
Too many.
Exactly. And we actually ended up very quickly, we bought a company in Israel that was competing with us, but was delivering their technology at 1/10 our cost.
Right.
So we bought them. And then what we did in 2001 is we we kept about 40 employees at 180. We moved all of our customers.
140 people, wow.
Yeah, and then
what
we
was
moved.
that day like? It's gotta be rough as an entrepreneur. I mean, I've done my share of layoffs. It's rough.
Yeah, we did the thing. We brought everyone into a room, and we gave everyone an envelope, and one said you need to pack up and leave shortly, and the other one was come back for lunch in a half an hour.
Yeah.
And I remember that was difficult. And I also there were 4 guys was with me when we got funded. When we got our first round of financing in January '99, and I had to let 3 of them go.
Wow.
And I remember that was a tough day. But
crushing, isn't it, as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, but I had lost my first company. I started a company in '90, went under in 1995, and I swore to myself that I would never do it again. I never want to lose another company again because it's painful.
Yeah.
And I said, look, I'm not, whatever we're going to do, we're going to get it down to be profitable, and we did it.
Wow. And so, just final question on the layoffs, which is I'm sure some entrepreneurs will have to go through. There's a lot of young entrepreneurs. There's actually no right way to do it. I mean, I've heard people say they brought people into a room one at a time. I did it that way.
Yes.
I've done it, bring everybody into a room. They're still going to hate you, and they're going to be very mad at that time, no matter how you do it.
Yes.
So people were pissed.
Well, I have a process that we do it, and I call it the skill will process. And it still holds true today, which is you make a list, and we made a list of everyone's name, and we put 2 columns, skill and will. And if you didn't check both boxes, then we knew that you weren't right for the company, because a lot of times some guys had skill, but they had no more will to fight.
And you needed fighters.
And we needed fighters, and so
it wasn't going to be pleasant.
No, and I remember it. Look, it sucks. Nobody wants to go fire people. It's emotional. These are human beings, but you kind of come to the realization there's a hole, and you got to take care of the hole. Yeah. And in the end, everyone's going to find a job, hopefully, and things will be okay for everyone.
And they will. And we're talking about high-skilled workers in the United States.
And they're young.
And they're young. It's not the end of the world. Of course, the end of the world then does happen. September 11th happens the same year as you lay off all those people.
This was surreal. I remember this day. Our offices were on 34th Street, and we could view downtown.
Yeah.
And I
I was
remember
there too, yeah.
we saw the flames coming out of the first tower, and we thought, we didn't know what happened.
Yeah.
And then I remember looking on a website, nothing was being reported.
Yeah.
You probably remember this too.
I remember I was listening to Howard Stern. He said somebody flew their plane into
Yeah, we were like a little biplane.
Everywhere there
we
was a
thought.
biplane or something.
Yeah.
A little prop pilot, yeah.
And then as the plane hit, the next
Yeah.
one, and I just remember thinking, no one prepares you. You probably know this
Yeah.
the same way. No one prepared us for two things. One is we had about, I'm trying to think square foot, about 25,000 square feet, 30,000 square feet of space. There were 30 of us here in New York,
Right.
all in one corner.
Right.
So we're all fighting for our lives to survive as a company.
Right.
And now we start fighting for our lives as human
Literally.
beings, literally.
Yeah. I mean, you see
And-
the towers come down, people are dying, and there's F-16, F-15 fighter jets flying over Manhattan.
Exactly. And
Scary as hell.
And I remember thinking, no one is prepared us for this. There's no courses you take on people
Leadership in
around
the middle of a terrorist attack.
in the middle of people's
Unless
lives.
you're from Israel.
Oh, in Israel, yeah.
You probably are pretty well.
Right, which is
sadly.
funny. I was on the phone with them in the morning. They're like, "Good luck,"
Yeah.
like they've dealt
We've
with
been
it.
there, yeah.
So, I just remember thinking we just got to be together, and
Yeah.
we got into a room and we would watch CNN, and then what would happen is we'd get terrorist threats would happen with CNN, which was adjacent to our building over
Yep.
here, and we'd have to go down the fire escape every day.
Yeah.
And half the people wouldn't come back to work. And I just remember thinking, like, we can't force people to come to work. We just got to ride this out.
Yep.
And we all rode it out. As New Yorkers, I think we're all proud that
Yeah.
we rode this out.
Yeah, and you couldn't leave the island, I remember. I don't know if you lived in
Yeah, I lived in
Manhattan.
Tribeca.
Yeah, wow. And I lived down on 26, and we were on 30, where were we, 36?
Yeah.
Silicon Airport, a crazy time.
Yeah.
But then New Yorkers, of course, very resilient. Your employee is very resilient, come
Yeah.
back to work. And slowly you start building it up. And I guess in 2003, 2004, 2005, you start to see signs of life because there's no
Yes.
competition.
Yes.
And the web's coming back.
Yes.
And then things get good, doesn't it?
Yes. And then 2003, we see things starting to move. And then in 2005, we came up with another innovation around our technology.
Which was?
We figured that working with some retail customers, they were starting to use chat for helping increase sales on a website, to increase conversions.
So not you have bought stuff from us already, we're dealing with your problems.
Right.
But now I'm going to convince you to
To
buy more.
And what they found is that only 1 to 2% of people actually usually buy on a website. And they started to get these analytics, and they were like, 80% of our shopping carts get abandoned. Like,
Yeah.
how can we make this better? And so we developed then a technology that allows us to understand the behaviors of consumers on a website and track them and see what they're doing. And then we can see, here's a person who looks like a buyer, but then they're having an issue.
Yeah.
And right when they have an issue, we proactively say, do you need help?
Right.
And we created a way now that 25% of chatters turn into a sale.
Wow.
So that took our company from a $20 million business 5 or 6 years ago to over $130 million business
Wow.
today. And that's all off of that product.
Amazing. So you can have success. I mean, you had great success, but breakout success could happen in year 10?
Yeah. And that's, look, there's a reality I always say to a business, it's that the great idea is here. And by the way, I don't even think we've come to the great idea
There's
with this
another
company.
one.
No,
There's a third idea.
exactly. And what you have to do is just stay alive and get to the idea. And I think a lot of companies, startups, they do a couple things that I wouldn't do, which I did probably my first company,
Sure,
and
yeah,
you've
well,
done.
Of course. What are the mistakes?
You know, like you take money too early, and
Right.
you have venture capitalists or you have investors or your friends and family.
Spend the money.
Right.
Go faster.
And you tend to be a little sloppy because you have
Sure.
some money and you
You
use
don't
it.
need to be focused.
Exactly. Where when you don't have money, you know it.
Sure.
You're borrowing resources. You're doing anything you can to make it work. I think, and you haven't figured out your business model, so you don't need the pressure of someone saying like, when are you going to make it? When are you going to make it? So we waited 5 years to raise our first round, which I think was smart.
Wow.
So
How did you fund the company for the first 5 years?
we
Beg
built
bars,
websites,
yeah.
and then for the first.
So you did consulting work for hire.
Yeah, we worked for hire, and then the first 2 years I slept on a couch.
Yeah, the couch is right over there.
The couch is over here.
Right,
And,
sold everything you had.
Yeah.
You were a broke ass
I was broke.
entrepreneur.
Super broke because my first company wiped
But,
me
but
out.
it makes it real, doesn't it? You're closer to reality. In venture capital, distances you from reality.
Yes. And when you're living on a couch, first of all, losing everything freed me. It just freed me as a person.
How?
There were things that I believe that weren't serving me to be a better person in building a company. And when you lose everything, you have to rethink yourself. And so I lost everything, and I thought there was a lot of mistakes I made in my first company. I got to start learning and not. And when you're young, you have a lot of like energy.
So you took it more seriously, some more gravitas.
Yes.
More focus.
More focus.
Interesting.
And I also went through a period where I really realized you have to be open to change all the time. You can't think that just because you're on top of the world that you're always going to be there. And so I live today with the sense of I can always be in that couch, and I leave the couch there because I think
Keeps you humble.
it does. You know, when you lose everything, you know, and look, you've had your rocky road to where you are.
Quarter went
Come
to
on.
70 employees and then down to 10.
Yeah.
$20 million offer, and then I wound up getting less than $1 million.
Yeah. And so we've all been there, and when you go through that, you come to appreciate what you have, and you start to not take it for granted that it's going to be there. And I see guys today who there's this new set of entrepreneurs that I don't think have had our experiences.
No,
and I hate to
no
be, we're the old guys.
I know, we're starting to talk like grandpas, but it is true, there's a certain sense of entitlement out there because there's free money.
Yes.
And they maybe think the good times will always be there.
Yes.
And that money will always be free, and that this concept of revenues in a real business may be not important.
Yes. And I
Feels
remember,
like deja vu all over again.
Yeah, and that's
I
why.
Yogi Berra would say.
Exactly, and I think there's a danger. I mean, look, we've been public now for 10 years, and I see some companies that are going public soon, and I'm like, I just think
they have slightly more than $2 million in revenue. In fairness.
Yeah, but if you look at it all down, I remember.
You're referring to Groupon specifically, but I'll say it now. A lot of losses. It feels more like a Web 1.0 company.
Yes.
Maybe not LinkedIn. LinkedIn's a very real company.
Exactly.
So you really have to tease out these S1s to really look at the business. But Groupon feels more like a Web 1.0 company.
Yeah, and I know people are looking at it, but I looked at the S1 too, and somebody needs to explain that public shareholders, you can create your own metric, which they create as their own metric to profitability.
Sure. That's always a red flag.
Right, and ultimately, all the expenses of the company have to be added up, and you have to have a profit. Yeah. Like we have a 25% operating margin with all the expenses added in.
You don't take, my
marketing out.
Yeah, and I took, we have $125 customer acquisition cost.
Take that out.
And we're going to make it 12 years long because we have some 12-year company.
Yeah,
which is what AOL did, right? They spread out the cost of the DVDs or CDs.
Which
fancy accounting.
It doesn't work. And I think the shareholders take, because I've been living with public shareholders, they all got burned back in the 2000 period, and they're still there, and they read these things and they're like, I don't buy it.
So you don't think we're going to have IPO frenzy?
No, it'll never happen.
It won't happen?
No.
People are too sophisticated. In fact, we saw LinkedIn pop a little bit, but then come right back down to earth. Boingo, Tesla, all the companies that went public, they seem to have either up or down 25% demand, whatever.
Yeah, I've done 42 quarterly earnings calls in my lifetime.
42.
Wow. So get past one, get past two, and get past five, and then let's see where your stock is.
Yeah.
But when they haven't done their quarterly calls yet, do your first quarterly call and then see how analysts and investors like it. But after 42, 43 calls, I kind of get the, you have some good ones, you have some bad ones, but you got to go through the process.
And you've had shareholders for over 10 years now.
Yeah, we've had
same shareholders for a decade.
Yeah.
And so they have faith in you, I guess, and that helps.
Yeah.
It feels more long term. A lot of people say top reason to go public, have a currency which you can use to buy other companies.
Sure.
Has that been the case for you guys over your history?
Yeah, we've bought 6 different companies over our 10 years of being public. I think it's tough now, and a lot of companies don't want to go public. I think the government, I don't want to make this a government speech, but I think if you look, 90% of IPOs were outside the United States last year.
Yeah, it's onerous in the United States.
Exactly, and I know as a child, I always dreamt of going public. That was my dream.
Well, like many children, either they would want to play in the NBA, be president, an astronaut, or go public.
Right, and I was.
No, Robert, that's not normal.
Exactly.
That's kind of weird.
No, it's like
most people want to date. I think of our group would want to date like Cindy Crawford, not go public.
Well, I was born entrepreneur. Like I was born entrepreneurial family. So being public.
It was the dream.
It's the dream. And even when we were around,
is it the dream today?
No, because what they find is being public. I think there are a lot of challenges in being public in the United States, and there's a lot of short-termism. People want you to make the quarters and buy the quarters, and companies don't run by the quarter. We run with sustainability. We want to build companies that can last forever.
Right.
There's a lot of regulation now and rules that were set up because some bad individuals did things that other people, like myself, we don't do. But it creates a lot of problems for public companies.
You guys are being policed like the lowest common denominator.
And that's a bad way to run, I think.
An economy.
An economy. And,
sure.
And I think the challenge is for entrepreneurs should always have the dream of being public. That's the dream, not of selling.
Right.
Okay, and the dream now is sell.
Build a long, sustainable company that has a currency so you can have shareholders move in and out as they please and a currency to grow.
Because ultimately our economy is based on jobs. We have right now over 500 people employed.
Yeah.
Half of them are here in the United States. It's important that companies grow and build and innovate. If we just got acquired by someone,
that's it.
That's it.
That's the end of innovation. The
Usually.
product's going to go downhill or sideways.
A lot of times it does, and you don't build up a new innovation. You kind of tack on to something else. I think it's a dangerous thing what's happened, but that's a
well. I mean, also a lot of the regulations created in 1929 after the last financial crisis.
Yes.
How many financial crises ago? But
yeah.
To protect individuals buying mines. I mean, we have antiquated financial regulation based on bad behavior, and it needs to change. And it looks like the SEC is starting to look at these things, and maybe Kickstarter or some of these other places you should be able to actually crowdfund.
Yes.
Not for donations, but actually for equity.
Yes, and I'm seeing this now, and it's interesting. I saw one. I don't know if it's out publicly yet, but they want to create almost a public-private market where that's right, where you can offer, and there's trading that goes on, but it's not that it has to be on a public market.
Like
I still think
market, ProFounder.
Yes.
And Kickstarter, a bunch of these.
There's one called X Markets or something that's coming out. Yeah.
It's in Europe, they exist for real.
Yeah.
So fluidity in the market, a good thing.
Yeah.
SEC is looking and saying, hey, people are being better behaved.
Yes.
Obama's looking at the issue. So maybe if these round of IPOs go well, maybe things could loosen up a little bit and it could become less onerous.
Hopefully.
What have you learned? I mean, looking back on the career now, I mean, it's the show, half the people who watch the show are, aspiring or first-time entrepreneurs. What's your piece of advice for them?
Follow your purpose. It's like I think all of us have been put on earth to follow whatever's inside of us, and I think we're scared to do that sometimes because it always seems silly.
It's getting really deep, Robert.
Yeah.
But yes,
sorry.
I'm starting to agree. Keep going.
But even if you look at me or yourself, and probably where we came from in life and our education. Sure. You can't say we could build companies and we would be here today, but we somehow inside we believed in ourselves and we were put on earth to do these things. So I feel like it's kind of silly. You have to think, maybe what I believe in is so silly that I should go after it because it's not based on something I can touch yet. It's based on dreams. Right. And I think it's important that every entrepreneur follows their purpose because the day that you have to fire 3/4 of your employees or the day that something happens that's going to test your conviction, you quit if you're not following your purpose. When you're following your purpose, you say, this is just another thing that I've been given to follow my purpose with. Yeah. And that's what
another challenge along the road, and I will get past it.
Well, like you never quit.
No. It's too stupid to quit. I should have quit at some point and gone to Hawaii and taken a break for a year. You and I just worked straight through all this. All of our friends went to ashrams and places in India to find themselves.
Yeah, I know.
But you're a blue-collar guy. You come from a blue-collar background?
Yeah, my family, built small companies from Long Island.
Yeah.
My, second-generation immigrants from Italy. So I kind of have that work ethic, like probably yourself.
Yeah, sure.
And we came from this different generation. Yeah. In which we believe building something is great.
And working hard is great.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no substitute, is there?
No. I think that's the other thing. Look, entrepreneurs who are successful, and I don't care if you're Bill Gates or Larry Ellis or Steve Jobs, we'll work longer and harder. It will put in more hours, and we put a different level of dedication into it, and you sacrifice for it.
Yeah.
But you know that this is an important part of the whole experience.
Nothing great was ever built without sacrifice.
Yeah.
I mean, this company is about perseverance. It's about sacrifice. It's about resiliency. That's been your entire career.
Yeah, and that's really what I hope LivePerson. I don't want to talk about legacy because I'm still very young. Yeah. But I really feel part of the goal of meeting with entrepreneurs and talking to entrepreneurs is to show them like you can do this. Like I started on a couch. This is I failed on my first company. Yeah. Like I didn't have any money. And it'll all work out if you just stick with it and do it. Yeah. And you can build anything you want to build. And I think a lot of times the stories we read about is like Mark Zuckerberg,
Yeah.
where it's like came up with an idea, was in college,
And boom.
I was worth $1 billion.
Right. There was never any stumble along that. It was an overnight success, 8 years in the making.
There's out of the hundreds of thousands of companies that exist in the world that were built by entrepreneurs, millions of companies, there's one Mark Zuckerberg.
Right.
And the rest of us out here are building companies that could be that big,
Right.
but they may take 20, 30 years to get there.
Yeah.
Because that's how companies are built. And they're not built like from like idea to billions of dollars in a day.
No. But it is going a little faster these days.
Yes, because the technology is easier to develop.
Is that why? Is it the globalization? Is it the faster technology? I mean,
Yeah.
what's the difference between starting a company today and when we started in the mid-90s, early 90s?
Well, there was no marketplace. There were no shopping carts. There was, I'm just saying, look, 95, 96, shopping cart technology was starting, even using, just building a website. We were using Cold Fusion, and the databases were terrible. There was no Amazon Web Services. Java was just starting back then.
A database call could take 60 seconds to return an answer.
Remember that? There was we didn't even use graphics. Remember, at first it was like a limited amount of color palettes.
Yep.
So today I can put up a website pretty much in a day. I can use Amazon Web Services to get all the technologies I want.
Don't have to provision servers.
Don't have provision servers. And when we started, there was no marketplace.
No customers.
There was no customers. There was nothing except
No infrastructure.
No.
No broadband.
No. And there
No
was
payment services.
No. There was nothing except
Literally nothing. Everything had to be built.
it was like
We were idiots. You really had to be an idiot to just believe that this would actually happen. That group, that class of 95, 96, 97, took a huge leap of faith that the internet would work. What people don't remember is people thought the internet was like a joke and it wasn't going to break out and it would all be online services. AOL Prodigy,
Yeah.
Those were the things, and the Information Superhighway and Time Warner.
Yeah.
It wasn't going to be this open, unruly system.
There was
Why did you believe that the internet was going to work? Was it because you couldn't get a meeting with those other people? Prodigy or whatever, so just because it was easier to do that than get AOL to...
It's like you. We're, back in, the graduate plastics, he says, go into plastics. And
Right.
I think we were given the opportunity. I know I saw the internet back in '93.
Me too.
So I
93,
saw it
same
early.
time.
And then,
In college.
and what happened is when I had my first company was interactive kiosks for college campuses, touchscreens.
Yeah.
And we did advertising on them, and there was video. Now, this is way before even video really existed pervasively.
Kiosk business. And
It's
that was going
kiosk.
to change the world at one point.
Totally, I was like, I'm in the forefront of
Now people
technology.
have a kiosk in their phone.
Yeah. And I remember Northwest Airlines called me in 1995, the woman who run the college marketing group, and she said, can you build me a website for college students? And at that very moment, I thought the internet was a joke.
And now...
We're done. And I knew my company was now, the kiosk company was done, and I knew the internet.
It's just like that.
It happened in one day. I remember it was down.
Because you said, what was it? You just said, if they want it, therefore it's good, or if one person wants it, a million companies will want it.
Once, it's just that phone call, you probably had that crystallizing moment. They said, we believe in the web. It's 95.
Yeah.
And we think college students would want to look at a web page. And I'm like, well, my kiosks are sort of obsolete if people can get it to the web. And I had that hollow feeling in my stomach and maybe a little vision about this is the future. And at that point, I realized we were done with the old company. I needed to start on the web.
For me, it was when I saw the blue dot bouncing on Razorfish's website.
Yeah.
They had the blue dot,
Yes.
and they made an animated GIF.
Yes.
And I said, wow, that is mind-blowing. If it's an animated GIF, they could show television on this thing. They could
Yes.
have a postage-sized television, or anything's possible. If you can make that blue dot bounce
Yes.
around, you can make objects move over the web. This is mind-blowing.
Yes. And I remember in 1991, I saw digital video, full motion video, down in Virginia. They were using it for training in the government.
Huh.
And I remember, I'll never forget, I remember seeing it, and the hard drive light was flickering.
Every time it downloaded frames.
But it was running, it was flickering. And I said to this person, is this thing running off the hard drive? Because at that point, there was CD-ROMs.
Ah.
And, we compressed this, made a file out of it. I go, explain that again?
How did it become
A video file became
from
a
this,
file?
From a VHS tape? Or
Yeah.
How's that possible?
Exactly, and they said, yeah, it's running. I said, can you transmit this over a phone line? It was modems.
Yeah.
They said, yeah, we can transmit this over a modem. And I thought, this is the future of the world. The world is you could take TV
And move it.
And move it. And I didn't know
Crazy.
where it would go, but I thought apply it to kiosks and college campuses. But when the internet came, I thought the moving it part was our challenge. The kiosk for me, it was one place, someone had to access it by going there, and if they could get it from their dorm rooms or their homes, I thought, this is the part we've been missing.
Yeah.
And that was a shift in my head.
So looking back, biggest mistakes, things you change. I mean, obviously it's all turned out okay, but when you look back on it, you say like, oh God, these were the big mistakes of my career. I should have done X, I did Y. You know, just like in general categorization of it. Were they sins of, you know, greed, or they sins of?
It was easy. I just went from
naivete?
idea to here.
Yeah.
Like Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, exactly. You just flip the switch, you turn
That was it.
you turn the Facebook on, and everybody uses it. That's it.
Till the day will come.
Absolutely.
Look, your biggest mistakes are people. Hiring the wrong people. It's your biggest mistake. It's your most costly mistake. It's the mistake that is hard. And so that's the one that costs you the most money. When you hire great people, they do amazing things. When you don't hire good people, sometimes you're just challenged.
Yeah.
So I think that's
So
that's
how do you incorporate that into your philosophy now? How do you hire?
We put in core values, and a year and a half ago, we put in these values: be an owner and help others. And we worked it as an entire company. And that, for us, allows us now, when we talk to people, we can say, this is what we're made of. This is our value. This is what we believe in the world.
Like a culture document.
Yes. But a lot of times everyone has like 10 things, like customer first and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And we know customer first, but what makes us live people, what makes us the people we work here, it's because we've got these two values: be an owner and help others. Be entrepreneurial. Like, be an entrepreneur here, grow, but on the same side, help others. Help others here, help others in the community, help our customers. And that's really what we're about.
Awesome.
So,
Rob LoCascio, LivePerson, an overnight success, 16 years in the making.
thank you,
Awesome.
Jason. Thanks a lot, man.
It's the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah, money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah, we ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. It's been a minute, so you thought you were safe. You trapped behind these bars like you locked in a cage. Stuck behind bars, making minimum wage. Your bar's tender. Here's a tip, get you a raise. Ain't nobody gonna offer a profit to motherfuckers who ain't rocking it, topping the hip hop charts and then stopping it. Quick to drop a set opposite of the hottest shit, copping it. It's the profit kit. Moments quick to accomplish. I'm positive. Getting green like a roster with a lot of dread. Money's piling up like the Washington Monument. The way I'm steering this track, it'll make you car sick. The only time you wanna see green is when you barfing. I'm the Mothman, consider this the prophecy. I'm in it to win it, that's why I'm making a profit, see. And I won't spend it till my rich is stupendous. And I'm selling sicker than tech, is the method is to keep it independent. Money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah, money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah, we ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you.